Today we're going to take a look at two schist sculptures from the 3rd and 4th century CE in the ancient Gandhar region of India, which is now northern Pakistan. Now, schist actually refers to the type of stone that they are created from. And if you look at this sculpture up close, you'll notice a few things. Now, this is a style called Greco-Buddhism, which came because the Greeks invaded this part of Asia, and the style is very much like a Greek sculpture depicting one of the gods, except for it's Buddha. Now, this depiction of the Bodhisattva, which is somebody who's about to reach enlightenment, is very similar to that of the depictions of the Greek god Apollo. Now, if you follow me over here, we'll take another look at a different schist sculpture. Now, this sculpture is a depiction of the Buddha Shakyamuni, which is somebody who preached the early teachings of Buddha. Now, you'll notice here, it's very idealized as opposed to realistic, even though it depicts a real person. And if you really focus on the face, it's not really masculine or feminine, but it's kind of wise and serene. Now, depictions of the human form and faces were some of the earliest depictions in art history that we have, and it oftentimes represented their culture. So that's what we're going to focus on today in the studio. And we're going to create our own face that will probably represent something from your culture. So now we're in the studio and we're going to create our own faces, and we're going to do it in 3-dimensional form using clay. And you can use any air dry clay that you have. I've got one here. I'm going to open this up and get it out there. I'm going to kind of break it in 2 pieces because I want pieces that I can add on to it, and then also a larger piece to create the head that I'll carve out of. Now, when you do this, I also needed a few other things, a sponge, a little bit of water, a pencil, and also a skewer. So now when I start to create my head, I'm gonna start by creating that shape, which is kind of like an oval or a potato, however you prefer. I'm gonna start just by creating that shape. I'm not going to worry too much about the creases or lumps because those will come out later. But now I've got my potato. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start creating that shape, and I'm going to use kind of those same classical proportions. And then I can always adjust them or change them if I want to later. So I'm going to start by just finding the middle, or about the middle, of my form here. And I'm going to take my thumbs, leaving a little bit of a gap for the nose. I'm gonna press in and kind of pull out. And that's gonna create where my eye socket goes. I'm gonna get rid of any clay that kind of falls off. And the deeper you press in your thumbs, the larger your brow ridge will be. Now, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create the eyes. Now, the hardest part of doing the eyes is making sure that they're both the same. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with my pencil, and I'm just gonna make a little dot where I kind of want them to go. And then if I don't like it, I can always kind of switch where it's at. But I think I like that pretty well. So I'm gonna start, and then I'm gonna also create my eyeballs. Now I'm gonna put my eyeballs inside of my eye socket. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna just make my hole just a little bit bigger. and I'm gonna create the eyeballs. So they're about the same size. I wanna make sure they're gonna fit inside my eye holes. I think they're a little too big. Just gonna cut a little bit off of them. That one's still a little bit bigger than the other one. A lot of fine tuning in the eyeballs. Boop. I'm gonna just drop them right in there. Now, when I go to, I want to make sure that they don't fall out of the head because that would be upsetting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the back of my pencil where the eraser is, and I'm just gonna come around and I'm gonna kind of make almost like an eyelid to kind of hold them in there. And it's gonna create kind of this extra ridge that I can kind of push over to hold my eyeball in place. It might ruin your eraser, so if you're using a brand new pencil, just keep that in mind. And again, I'm not gonna worry too much about the little pieces because I can always go back later with my sponge and smooth those out. Got my eyeballs in. I'm gonna kind of leave them like that for now. We're gonna start adding in some of the other things. So the next thing I'm gonna add in is I'm gonna add in the nose. Now you get to decide what type of nose you want. Is it really big? Is it really small? Is it wide? Is it thin? It's kind of up to you. But when I start the nose, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with a ball, and then I'm gonna kind of make it a teardrop shape. And I'm gonna put it right in the middle. Now, anytime you're attaching clay, with the exception of the eyeballs, you always wanna make sure you score your clay. So I'm gonna score where I'm gonna put the nose. I'm gonna score there. I'm gonna add a little bit of water with my finger, just to give it a little extra sticking power. And I'm going to place my nose. Now, right now it looks like a Muppet, which maybe you want. But if you don't, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this and you're gonna kind of start smoothing out just the top and the sides of the nose. Now, for the nostrils, I'm gonna take my pencil and I'm just gonna shove my pencil into his nose there. Or her, I haven't decided yet. Then I can always shape it a little bit more. Now, before I go to the mouth, I'm gonna add on a little bit of a chin because my face is very much a potato. I want it to have a little bit more shape. So I'm just gonna take a piece of clay and I'm gonna roll it into a ball. I'm gonna add on the chin. Now, again, you can make your chin whatever size, whatever shape you want it to be. I'm gonna make sure that it is completely smooth. So now I'm ready to put on my lips. Now when I do the lips, I'm gonna do them in 2 different pieces. So I'm gonna take some clay. I'm gonna roll it out into almost like a coil, but then I'm gonna pinch off the edges so that it's kind of like a banana or like a weird football. So let's see here, if this is, I kind of like them a little bit bigger. Maybe that might be too big though. Might not be able to get it onto my face. Before I really attach them, I'm gonna put them down for size. Now, when I attach them again, you always wanna slip and score. So I'm gonna do my top one first. And when I do this, for the top lip, I'm only gonna smooth out the top part. So I'm gonna kind of put this down, take a little bit of water, and I'm gonna take my pencil and I can roll the edges of my lip into the back of the head. Currently it looks like a mustache, we're gonna fix that. Now you've got this little divot in your lip that I always forget what it's called, but I'm gonna try to make that here with my pencil. Then I'm gonna take my other half. Slip and score, or score and add some water. And you can leave room for teeth. You can put them really close. It's kind of up to you. And then for the bottom lip, I'm just gonna smooth out the bottom part. I'm not gonna smooth out the inside part. Okay, now we just need a few more things that we're missing that are pretty important, like your ears, but also eyebrows. Now, eyebrows I'll do very similar to how I did the lips, the shape anyways. So I'm gonna take a coil. Now when I make the eyebrows, kind of like when I did the eyes, I'm gonna do them both at the same time so that I know that they're the same shape. Now you can do, I kind of like to do really thick eyebrows. Let's see if this is right. Yeah. So I'm gonna create that shape for my eyebrow. So it's a little bit bigger. Kind of look like fangs. A little bit of water. A little bit of scoring. So now when I've got my eyebrows kind of placed where I want them, I need to kind of look here. Now, again, I'm just gonna smooth the bottom of my eyebrow into my eye socket. So I like using my pencil. At least to get it started. And
And then I can always take my thumb, I can smoosh them down a little bit. If I think they're too long, I can smooth it into my head. Now eyebrows are made out of hair, so I always go back and I add in some texture. And I'm just using my scoring tool. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I want to add in some ears. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of that leftover clay, I'll roll it into a ball, flatten that ball. That might not be big enough. Let's try that again. Then I'm gonna make like a chubby heart. Try to get them relatively the same on both sides. I'm gonna cut that piece out. And then I'm gonna cut it in half. Now these are gonna be my ears. So I'm gonna go directly across from the eye and slip and score. Maybe. And I'm just gonna press the front part of my ear in. Now, if your clay is getting dry at this point, you can always add a little bit of water to it. And I'm gonna add just a little hole and a little divot there. Make sure it's on correctly, not too far forward on his head. Oh, there it is. And then I'm gonna do the same on the other side. I'm gonna like kind of look to see, make sure I'm straight across there. And then I'll start attaching that to my face. Sometimes if you get too much water, it'll actually be harder to blend. So I just take my dry sponge and that helps. Now we've got a pretty generic looking person, and that is okay. But this is the best part. You get to go back and you get to add all those other things that you might want to add. Maybe it's facial hair, maybe it's jewelry, maybe it's hair in general. You get to add anything that you want to your person. I'm gonna add just a little bit of hair here. Now when I add hair, I always take like a clump and I'll kind of flatten it out. Because you don't want hair stuck directly to your head. It comes off your head a little bit. So I'm gonna create just a little bit of volume. Scratch up the whole surface here. Now when I do the hair, sometimes instead of smoothing it out, I'll take pieces, kind of like this, and then when I go to add in the texture, that's how I will get my clay to attach to my head. Make him some little sideburns here. And I'll just keep adding pieces until I finish the whole thing. So I hope that you guys have so much fun creating your own people today. And I can't wait to see what you guys make and what characters you come up with. We'll see you guys back here soon at the YAM.